I think we're live, Eric.
Yeah, good morning. We're
Live, episode 25. Dude, this is the second time I almost forgot about the Get Shit Done show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's Saturday, and
It is Saturday.
I've been sick for like 3 or 4 days.
I know it.
Yesterday started feeling better.
Yep.
I woke up as I slept really well last night. As I woke up, I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna get over this cold today. Like, I feel like the cold might lift today, which I'm pleased about. But I slept in a little bit. I slept till like 7:30 or something,
Okay.
which I am normally up before sunrise,
Yep.
and so that was really nice. I had a nice long, deep sleep, very restful.
Great.
And I have some grocery items I need to go down and get from the co-op. And so I'm currently dog sitting for my girlfriend's dog Marnie. And so I got up, I took her out for a little pee walk, and then I was just getting geared up to go to the store, and I was like, it's 8:40. I have a show in 20 minutes. So that was the second. So it's really silly. Most of my things in my calendar in my life, I schedule them on Google Calendar and I time block them out so that this doesn't add. I have appointments and I have reminders, but I didn't do that with the Get Shit Done show because we just jumped in and started doing it.
Oh,
and,
okay. Yeah.
Like, I just set it aside in my mind. I was just like, okay.
Okay.
And so that was, it was kind of funny. And so anyway, I almost went to the grocery store instead of logging in for our show this morning, which
all right.
Which actually relates back to your question in a obscure and bizarre way. So looking forward to checking in on that. But what am I happy about this morning? I'm happy that I'm starting to feel better, that I think this cold's going to lift today. It's a beautiful day out, and while I've been congested, and I realized that my video is again max headrooming, so I don't know what's
a little
up with
bit.
that.
Yeah, it's not so bad today, but yeah, a little bit choppy.
So little bit weird, but I am looking forward to running again today. I've been hiking for my exercise and for my outdoor exercise for the last several days while I've been just like super sick, and so I'm looking forward to going out on a run and see how that feels today. So that's what I'm happy about. What are you happy about this morning?
Let's see. Yesterday I did another practice run with my webinar, which was good to practice. It was interesting. I did much better my first run through it. Yeah, I actually totally botched it, and like, yeah, I mean, I felt like after halfway through, I just needed to stop and regroup, and yeah, I botched it. But my positive focus is that I did it, and then I took my first recording for my first run through that I had started editing into try and make it into a finished product. I mentioned the other day how I was doing that, and then I wound up deleting the file by mistake when I was trying to export it. Anyway, yeah, I got remotivated to take that and make it into a usable YouTube video that I could send to people. Because I felt like there was a lot of really good points. My energy was really flowing in that, and I felt like it was very usable. Yeah, and it didn't take very much time to do. I spent maybe an hour or so on it, and now I have that.
Totally. So
Yeah,
how
so
long?
I feel good about that.
So aside from like jumping ship halfway through the botched webinar part, how long at this point do you think it takes you to deliver this webinar?
About 45 minutes.
Great. Yeah.
Yep.
So the answer to that problem is like keep doing what you're doing or whatever, but like do the webinar every day.
Just do it every day.
Do it every day for like a week or two, and you're fine. You like that is actually the solution. Editing isn't actually the solution.
I figured you'd say that. Yeah.
Stopping halfway through is not the solution. When you're doing a live webinar, that's not an option.
No, it's not an option. I know.
Power goes off, and then you're forced to, which happens, right? Sometimes. Yep. And then when you're speaking from stage, it's not an option. So,
true. Yep.
Like, and that's one more reason to do them in front of an audience more often too. Is, if you can,
Yeah.
So, but basically, it's classic, dude. Basically, there aren't any shortcuts around this. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel that. Yep.
No, it's true. It's like if you want to get past that, it's like record every one, do it 100 times, use the best one. And then if you want to try to edit the best one and run that as a split test and try to beat the control, then congratulations. Or if you want to pay somebody to make a better, to take your first version and make it amazing, who's like a super good video editor, great. That might also improve conversion. It might not. You don't know.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. But yeah, I would say just practice. Right.
Yep.
100%.
Okay. Cool.
100%. And here's the thing: if you are able to create a webinar, a presentation that is really, really good and really, really valuable, like one of the things that you might want to consider is creating the most valuable Kagan webinar training, not sales. So that you can go and put this incredible training in front of all the other people who are already in Kagan and get them to follow you.
Oh, right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. Because if you, and that's a similar idea to interviewing other people, right? You can create the training that way. Oh, geez.
Oops.
Technical difficulties today.
Where'd you go, Tellman?
Great question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That's nice. I guess I'm in space. You know what? Right now is a good time for a commercial break. I will be back. And in the meantime, I'm going to say that, Eric, I would highly recommend, since we're talking about, let's talk about water and prosperity for a minute, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
All right. Well, so let's dive in. So I created this amazing Facebook group recently, just a few weeks ago, called Pure Path to Prosperity. You can find the link in the description of this video down at the bottom. And inside the Facebook group, I'm going to be showing you how you can use this incredible opportunity that I'm working with the Kangen water ionizers to create your own home-based business to get you from where you're at in your life currently. If you have a job that's maybe it's making you a lot of money, but it's keeping you away from your home, away from your family, away from your partner, and away from all the things you love to spend your time doing. You just don't have time to do those things. And you're looking for a way to free up your life so that you can do the things that you love and that what really matters to you, and actually live the life that you want to live. You can take this opportunity that I'm going to be sharing about inside the Pure Path to Prosperity and run with it and create an awesome life that feels like truly aligned with what you want to create, and not just doing the thing that you feel like you have to do. And I'm going to be doing my very first ever live webinar on Tuesday, the 28th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern time inside the group. So be sure and check that out. And let's see, what else can I say about it? Yeah, I've been working with this opportunity for, the past 5 years now. And it's been such a journey of growth and expansion for me, which has been amazing. Yeah, it's just helped me work through so many layers of just internal blockages. I mean, aside from like the business building part, it really builds you as a person. And I've seen it, witnessed it firsthand in myself and seen it in so many other people around me as well. And yeah, a lot of people in our organization joke about it, but it's so true that it's a personal growth and development journey with a compensation plan attached. Welcome back, Tellman.
Thank you. I think things are better
Back from
now.
outer space.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes you just fly off into outer space, and then you need to, reel yourself back in.
Yep.
That's how it works. Awesome. You guys going to join Pure Path to Prosperity? Hope so. It's the right choice. So let's see. Are you ready to get into it here?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So we were talking about. You said you had some questions about what makes the difference between essentially successful entrepreneurs and people who are flopping around like fish out of water and just spend their life failing.
Right.
I mean, that's not how you put it, but
that's the gist, right? What's the distinguishing characteristics, behaviors, and mindsets of people that are, just taking their ideas and transforming it into action and reality and creating a lot of success, and people that are just kind of floundering around.
So one of the things, as an entrepreneur, like I became an entrepreneur when I was 19. I'm 48 now. Geez, almost 30 years. Yep. And one thing that I've noticed about myself, and I think I've seen this pattern in other people over the years, is that there are some entrepreneurs and business owners, I would say all entrepreneurs and business owners for that matter, but all entrepreneurs in particular, meaning people who start new businesses, right? People who launch new things on a semi-regular basis.
Yep.
Not business owners who are long-term, generally single business. They create a job for themselves and create a job for other people. They create a single system, a single machine, and run it for 30, 40, 50 years or whatever. Entrepreneurs tend to get bored a little bit more easily and start things faster, right? And so I found that most entrepreneurs don't stay at their peak indefinitely. That's not how it works. It's just like sports. Like everybody peaks out. Right. And they peak out and there's a difference where like they peak in terms of their visibility, but they also peak at some point in terms of their income. But then there's this point in an entrepreneur's life where most of us get tired of the peaks and valleys of huge successes and then long periods of lulls and want more steadiness to come in. And when that happens, it's way less sexy. There's a lot less noise over time because you're actually trying to create consistency. And so all of these things are factors, and it's kind of like the life cycle of an entrepreneur. But there are some who, without a doubt, consistently seem to win over and over and over again. And there are some, without a doubt, who consistently seem to fail as their number one. And I don't think that there's one factor, but I've been working with a lot of hypnosis clients recently, some of which are super successful or previously super successful entrepreneurs who are either looking to take it to the next level or looking to get back in the game and quote unquote get their mojo back.
Yep.
Because they fell off the horse. And they're no longer in motion. They're no longer in momentum. They're having self-doubt. They've tried a few things, they've failed, and they're looking to kind of get back on point. There are others who've they've been studying this stuff for 30 years and they've never made any money.
Yeah.
And what makes the difference? And I think that there are tons of factors, but there is one primary thing. It's commitment.
Commitment. All right. Yep.
And saying you're committed to something isn't committing to something.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. There are two clear factors that I see with commitment that need to be involved. One is desperation and fear. In most cases, people aren't going to make radical and immediate change unless they're going to be devastated in the near future if they don't.
Okay.
Most people invest in like a year-long weight loss program after they have a heart attack, or their doctor tells them they're going to die because they're obese.
All right.
Or their cholesterol is so high that they've got 2 years left unless they turn it around. And then they usually will join like a weight loss program that week and spend thousands of dollars on it, right?
All right. Yep.
Many people will not invest in a serious marketing, money-making, entrepreneurial opportunity, whatever, unless they're in, like, they feel that they're in dire straits, like they're at the end. They have no more options. They've got to buck up or shut up. You know, it's like
Right.
do or die kind of a vibe. So that tends to create immediate action, and it also tends to be preyed upon in a high-ticket sales environment because so many people that are looking to make money are financially desperate, for example. In health, wealth, or relationships. In wealth, it's being financially desperate. In health, it's your health is in jeopardy and you're going to die, you know, if you don't fix this problem. And in relationships, it's like your wife's going to leave you if you don't get your act together, you know, and fix the relationship situation, or you're going to die alone and lame and lonely and no one's going to love you if you don't like start attracting a partner. You know what I mean? So it's like fear. And so fear is, you know, and what you're running away from is it's built into us as humans. It's survival.
Totally.
And so we need to have something that we want to get away from, that we are sick and tired of, that like, done. I'm not going to have that in my life anymore. I'm done. Like, no more.
Yep.
So that's important. Drawing the line or setting a boundary. That's done. That phase of my life is over, right? The other thing is a dream, a vision of a bigger, better, brighter future that we're working toward. And so the dream and the vision is like, why am I doing all this work? And so many people that are in desperation mode are like, I'm in debt. I want to get out of debt. I want to pay off my mortgage. I want to pay off my car. I want the creditors to stop calling. I want to get out of credit card debt. I just want to get out of debt. I want to start a business. I want to get out of debt. I just want to get out of debt. And they never make it. Okay. I've never met the get out of debt people because they're afraid. They're stuck in a lull of constant debt that makes them feel bad about themselves, but their dream isn't big enough to ever get them out of the hole.
Well, just hearing you say that, it sounds like their dream involves debt, so they're just focused on debt.
So that's what we call, exactly, dude. That's what we call the don't think about the pink elephant syndrome.
Well, that's interesting you said that, because yesterday I was watching this YouTube video by this NLP coach, and he was talking about this exact thing, focusing, like not focusing on the thing that you don't want, but actually focusing on what you do want.
That's the dream part. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to get out of a shitty situation.
Yep.
Very motivating for a lot of people.
Exactly.
And like I would say, like for many people, that's 80% of their life is trying to get out of crap. Right? Is it basically getting away from fear, running away from something you're afraid of. Okay. Yep. But toward what? You can be running away from something you're afraid of into a worse situation if you're not paying attention to where you're going. So you do need to get really clear on your target, on your destination, on what you're working toward and why. And having that bigger, better, brighter dream for the future is highly motivating. A lot of people, when they find out they're going to have a family for the first time, that's happened to me, finally started making some money because, I better start, like somehow something shifts internally and you realize, I have to start taking this serious. You know, like I have to step up my game. So there's this idea of, what are you afraid of, or what are you running away from? What are we moving toward? What's the vision of the future? And so many different marketers will talk about this, you know, get from what is it? From Somethingville to Awesome Town?
Suckville to Awesome Town.
That's Town.
Yeah, that's a JT DeBolt's phrase. He says
yeah.
that a lot.
How to get from out of hell and into heaven.
Exactly.
Okay, is the
Yep.
same often used.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. But here's the issue. So, but what makes the difference between the successful entrepreneur and the flailing entrepreneur, or the entrepreneur that has some success but then never gets back there? And I think that's the third thing. And this is the hard one. Being present in the moment. So we talked about the past, like getting away from a crappy situation, something you don't like. We talk about the future, your vision for the future and the direction that you're going. But now we're talking about the present. And it's like, it's classic. It's like the Three Ghosts of Christmas. Truly, it's like Scrooge, right? Is if you're not present and appreciative and connected in this moment and with what you're working on and toward today, if you don't love what you're doing, you're not gonna give it everything you've got, and you're not gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
So if you don't love what you're doing, what you're building, what you're creating, the work involved, the activity, the process by which you become more skilled, if you don't love that, you're screwed.
Right.
You're gonna give it. You're gonna be half-hearted all the time. And so, even
Totally.
though you might not want to be poor, even though you want to make more money than you had as a child, and have a higher standard of living than your parents did, even though you might be the first person in your family who wants to go to college, or you might be the first person in your family who wants to start a business, or you might be the first person in your family who wants to do something else, or maybe you're the black sheep and like you're the only one who hasn't been successful in your family and you just want to prove yourself to everybody. There's all sorts of different setups.
Yep.
But if you don't enjoy the ride, then you're going to be digging in your heels and resisting the ride, the
Totally.
ups and the downs of it.
Sure.
And going outside of your comfort zone and into the really uncomfortable stuff, the only thing that makes that tolerable is wanting to get better at the game. And in this case, the game that we're talking about, I think, is being an entrepreneur. We're probably talking about being an internet entrepreneur. We talk about, it could be different games because this rule does apply. But if you don't know what you're running away from, if you don't know what you're afraid of and you don't want anymore, if you don't know what you're working toward, but then the third thing is if you don't genuinely love what you're spending your time on every day, and if you don't love getting better at it, then who are you kidding? Right? Like what are you doing?
Yep.
And that's true in a job too, right? Like it's one of the reasons that so many entrepreneurs create a business that really is just a glorified job, because they feel like they're a little bit more in control, but we all know most businesses die within the first 5 years, and so some of the big difference. So that's the overarching principle that makes the difference.
Sure. Okay. Yep.
And I think about guys like Frank Kern, Perry Belcher, Jay Abraham, Mark Joyner, Russell Brunson, in the internet marketing world, right?
Yeah.
All of these guys, like all of these guys were doing marketing in the early 2000s when I was. Mark Joyner came way before all of us. Dean Jackson came way before all of us. Jonathan Mizell came before all of us. Marlon Sanders came before all of us. Dan Kennedy came before all of us. I already mentioned Jay Abraham. Decades later, they're still going to seminars. They're still going to masterminds. They're still creating new products.
Yeah.
Because they like the creation, the process, the explore, like of creating new things and doing new things and working on new things, even if it doesn't work. And that's okay. So I really like. I'm very connected to distance running, as I've said many times. I've been a
Yeah.
lifelong runner. I started running when I was in ninth grade. Um, all this stuff. I have all this like backstory and ego wrapped up in it, and all these things. You know, I've won more races than I can count, but not in many years, I might say. And so running is close to my heart, but I really enjoy it. I always feel good after a mile into the warm up of the run. You know, always feel great, and always feel great for hours and hours afterward.
Hmm.
And it makes me feel, just doing it makes me feel more confident in myself. I often get great ideas while I'm running.
Yep.
Um, but most of my runs are not per, PRs, personal records. Like the vast
Okay.
majority of my runs, I'm not setting personal bests,
Gotcha. Yep.
right? I'm just going through the motions. And if you don't like going through the motions, you're doing the wrong kind of work,
Right.
right? Um, so that's a huge piece. There are some more tactical pieces that I found to be true. I had a client yesterday who's been following me since the early 2000s, in the early email marketing days. Had never tried hypnosis before, had never tried any of my recorded hypnosis stuff, even though I've been selling recorded hypnosis stuff for 15 years now, exclusively, really, since 2010. He's been on my list the entire time, never bought any of my hypnosis stuff, but sounds like he bought some of my marketing and list building stuff back in the day. Works 60 hours a week, has been for a long time, has an online business, invested 25 grand in a ecom coaching and done for you install. And I was like, dude, you've been studying this stuff for 30 years or whatever, 20 years. Like, why aren't you making money? You know, why, like, what the heck? And
Right.
his son's involved. Is like, you know, there's lots of, and he's been working a full-time job, like
Wow.
with overtime for a few decades.
Hmm.
And he seems to be dedicated to it as far as I can tell. And he's like, I will show up for my job, but I won't show up the same way for myself and my business.
Okay.
And he's like, I know it sounds weird. Everybody thinks it sounds weird. It doesn't sound weird, guys. Everybody does this. Everybody. And
Yeah, I see some of my team members with that same phenomena. They work full time, but when it comes to their business, they're just like,
right.
yeah.
Right. And there are a lot of things we can blame this on, or point to this or point to that. We can blame it on society. We can blame it on our upbringing. We can
Hmm.
blame it on the traditional school system. We can blame it on the way jobs work and how we always are externalizing our sense of self-worth to someone else who's accepting us, and all this other garbage, which is all fine. I mean, I say garbage like not to dismiss it. It might be true. But so what? Like, how's the here's the thing. If you aren't able to show up for yourself in a way that's getting the job done, to do whatever it is you're going to do, build your business or otherwise, then set yourself up for success by getting at least one person on your team, get some sort of accountability buddy or some sort of accountability partner, schedule it in and start showing up and hold each other's feet to the fire, you know?
Right.
So the first thing that I outlined with this guy was, so you know, he has a son, is an adult son who's involved with the business, and he's trying to get the business up to where it can pay each of them 10 grand a month in income from the profit of the business, right?
Hmm.
Reasonable. So I was like, well, can you schedule in 2 hours a day to have scheduled work party time where you and your son can get together and go through the educational component of the big program you bought, and then immediately execute on it. It's like, yeah,
Right.
it's like, well, hold each other accountable then. Make your son your boss and you be your son's boss. Hold each other accountable. And so accountability is a massive, massive piece to the puzzle that I cannot pronounce this person's name, Eric, but
Yeah, it's good to
I
see
think
you.
he's saying
Hello.
hi, not hell, but maybe
Yeah,
it's hell.
maybe it's hello.
Maybe it's hello. Yeah. We were talking
Yeah.
about hell a little bit earlier, so who knows? Anyway, um, uh, one way or the other, and Liz Fuller is also here this morning. Good morning, Liz. Good to see
Good
you.
morning, Liz.
So, but scheduling in time to work on your business with someone else and finding that accountability partner, that comes from the commitment.
Right.
Okay, the commitment comes first. And so I encourage you to really get in touch with why you're building this business. Sure, you want to make more money, and sure, you want to have time to go where you want to go, when you want to go there. You want to have freedom and all this stuff, but too vague. Okay,
Yep.
it's too vague. Is if you one of the things that I have all my clients do is if travel is in their future, then I have them set the date for their vacation to their dream country. Right? And put it on their calendar and find out how much it's going to cost and aim at it, right? Make it a target. So whether it's just something you want, or maybe you want to pay for your grandson's college because his parents can't.
Right.
Great. Really, like it doesn't have to be just for you, but it's tangible, specific, and it's real. You know how much it's going to be. You can aim at it, and you can either get it all or work toward it. If you don't enjoy the work, then you're not going to keep working when you fail. And this is the next piece, is that successful entrepreneurs, it sounds so cliche and people don't believe it, but successful entrepreneurs learn from all their failures and get up faster and try again. And they don't stop when they fail. They learn from their failures and try again.
Totally.
It's all practice. It's
Right.
all
Okay.
training.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way you lose is if you die or you give up. That's it. That's
Or
the
never
only way
even
you
try.
lose. That's
Yeah.
the only way, so if you're no commitment, you're done. You're not willing to keep working even if you fail, you're done. Like and why would you give up if you fail a few times if you're fully committed? You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Yeah,
Okay?
exactly.
That's the thing. It's not so that's the kicker is do something that means something to you and for a reason. Don't just chase opportunities around like a mindless lemming. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
Double down on the one that's most important to you. Find someone or a team of people to do it with. If you don't have a team, join getshitdone.com because we've created one for you, and get to work
That's right.
every day.
Yeah.
Schedule it in. Make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. When I think about my own biggest blockages,
cheers, Elena. Good morning.
hey,
Good to see
Elena.
you again. Haven't talked in a while. I hope you're well.
But yeah, when I think about my own biggest blockages, what prevents me from moving forward the most, I was thinking about this morning before the call, and part of it's organization. It's like, and then part of it's my own internal resistance. Like maybe it's fear or just getting stuck in my head. But I feel like a big part of it is organization. It's like I know what I need to do, and like my background, I've never had good organization skills. It's something I've been slowly developing, and I've seen the need. Like just recently, I started using Google Calendars,
I know.
and that's been a big game changer for me. um, yeah, having those time blocks, but yeah, there's still a lot of empty time blocks that I'm just kind of using haphazardly to get my shit done. Um, but what I can see what I feel like I need to do is just get really clear on the itemized things. Like I know what I need to do. I need to create content for my page. I need to create content for my Facebook group. I need to do follow up with leads. I need to put time into the get shit done content. I need to um yeah, there's like all these itemized things, and it kind of, I notice when I'm working, I'll kind of jump around, and it's really ineffective, and I really need to block out time, I feel like.
You're reminding me right now
Yeah.
as you're talking. So I worked in a lot of restaurants when I was young.
Yep.
I started doing dishes. Then I moved up to prep. Then I moved up to fry cook. Then I did a little bit of line cooking, but I was mostly like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life cooking behind a line in a restaurant. I'm out after that. And so
Yep.
like all the like cooks were like cokeheads and stuff, and I was like, this is not the life for me, right?
Right.
And so in order to run a restaurant, you do like consistently. You do need I've never organized and run a restaurant. I've never started a restaurant. I've never had to go through that process. But as you were discussing this, I was imagining being a prep cook and wanting to do things my own way and wanting to and being pissed because I had to follow the directions and do it their way. I was like, what the hell? Why can't I do this the more efficient way? Why can't I do this the smarter way? Like, this makes way more sense. I'm smarter than these guys. The reality is I was just like chopping lettuce, and there's a much bigger thing happening in order to get everything in that restaurant prepared to start serving at 4:00 or whatever. And that greater system is much more complex than cutting lettuce. So if the way the lettuce, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's why, right? Is because the things that aren't broken are working. They are directly affecting the greater system. And so I've always been disorganized as the bejesus. Like, I am not an organized individual.
Yep.
I'm getting slowly better, I think, at certain aspects of time management and certain aspects of organization. What I think I'm doing is I'm taking on less and putting more attention on the things that I'm taking on. That's one way to help. That time blocking and having that as recurring things in your schedule helps. What also helps is either having a virtual assistant or using something like Motion.ai, which is a calendar system where you can dump all your task lists and it will just reorganize them in your calendar for you.
Okay. Yep.
And then you check them off as you get them done. If you don't get them done, they get pushed forward into the calendar. And so that's an AI virtual assistant.
Right. Okay.
You can get more organized regardless of who you are, what your personality is, what you are or aren't good at. Like every skill, it's something you can improve on. You can read books on it. You can take classes on it. You can whatever. But I don't think that organization actually is holding you back.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think that's an excuse.
Could be.
I mean, it's kind of an in your face answer, but
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I could use that excuse too. Like, I could say organization is my block. I don't know that there are blocks, Eric. I think that blocks are a little like, even though I have a hypnosis session called Break Through Your Money Blocks, and there are 5 of them, I kind of think blocks are BS in my experience, because they're ways of taking a bunch of nebulous thoughts and feelings and being like, oh, this is what's holding me back. This is why I'm not doing the thing. But who cares why? Why not do the thing? So like, instead of externalizing in a way the response, like saying, oh yeah, I'm making this bad choice in my life over and over and over again because of this thing I have no control over, right? My blocks that are stopping me. So what if the blocks weren't there? What if they were illusions? Literally illusions.
All right.
They look real, they feel real, but are they real? Right? Are they real? Maybe not. So like, with for you, the feeling of organization being a block, for example, or lack of organization being a block. If organization were no longer an issue for you, then what? Then what would you do differently to improve your situation?
I mean, I would have specific time blocks set aside for specific activities. And I guess then the question comes up, would I still have resistance to those specific activities?
Well, here's the thing. I
Yeah.
think the real question is, what do you do when you have resistance? So,
Oh, yeah. No, here's the thing I've been noticing about myself. And I really love to bring awareness to these things because it helps me overcome them. But it's almost embarrassing to say, what it is, because it's like, like, why do you do this?
but we all have them, dude.
Yeah, sure.
I have stuff too. Like I have a long list, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's okay. So I'll sit down to do a specific task and I'll be like, get stuck in my head about it. And then, okay, so part of like, and I don't want to externalize more excuses, but like one of the big kickers of being an online entrepreneur is we're using social media to run our businesses, and social media is designed to distract us and suck us in to the like scroll. And yeah, oftentimes I'll get like really distracted and allow myself to get distracted, and I have to keep pulling myself back and like get back on the flow and try and figure out what it is I'm trying to do and how to do it most effectively. And I'll find myself just like slipping into this pattern of like distraction.
Well,
Doing things that aren't important when I know that I need to be focused on the thing that does matter.
Right. Well, so let me give you some solutions to this.
Yep.
Do you find yourself getting distracted and sucked into social media while we're live streaming from 9 to 10 every morning?
No, it's never happened.
Maybe you should learn something from that. Seriously, it doesn't happen to me either. Okay, because I have one tab open and I'm talking to you. And, and who's ever watching.
Yep.
Right. And my phone is on do not disturb mode and it's charging in the kitchen. And my computer is on do not disturb mode. If I remember to turn it on do not disturb mode, which I think I did.
Right. Yeah, I leave mine on do not disturb mode pretty much 24/7.
Yeah. And so, but like having someone call is just one type of distraction. Social media is still waiting, right? Like Facebook is waiting all the time.
Yeah.
And so I would suggest that part of the whole get shit done philosophy is noticing when you have the resistance and doing the thing when you have the resistance. And so that's also a big part of 75 hard, right?
Yep.
75 hard is interesting because you're working out twice a day. One of those workouts is outside. And what tends to happen to people as they go through the process is at first it's exciting because you've taken on a new challenge, and then it gets old, and then and you don't want to do it anymore at a certain point. And then you start realizing you're going to go and exercise outside no matter what the weather is. And so you have to start looking forward to the difficulty of it.
Right.
Okay. In order to do it without resistance. That's the only option. And then you start saying, oh, what's the coldest time of day that I can exercise outside? And then you start looking to make it tougher.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Like maybe not everybody does this. I certainly do it. And with distance running, I mean, I've always had a tendency of in the summer looking for the hottest time of day of run, and in the winter looking for the coldest time of day of run to run, to train myself to be tougher.
Yep.
Like it's intensity training. It's like purposeful. And so when you do have that resistance that comes up in your own business, I encourage you to really look at that as a North Star. look at that as the focus of where you want to head. You want to go directly into it, right? That's probably the most important thing for you to do. With that said, right now, what we're doing is we're live streaming every day. We're creating content and we're driving traffic. Very valuable things for any internet business. Content to communicate with our existing followers with, and content in order to gain new eyeballs and bring people in to get shit done. That's the idea. It's working.
Yep.
What's also important is selling something. No, you don't sell something, toast. And so if every day, or for example, this is one of the reasons that doing a weekly webinar is so good for so many businesses, because when you're doing your weekly webinar, you're showing up live for 90 minutes. You're doing all the promotion for the week, building up to that 190-minute presentation. And during that 90-minute presentation, you're bringing home the bacon. You're selling, right? Or at least you're setting up the sale for, and money's probably going to come in as a result of that. So you set public accountability up for you to do money-making actions in your business, not just think, not just study, not just wallow around in your own resistance.
Yep.
But you're scheduling in a public money-making activity every week that you have to build toward and then deliver on.
Right.
It sets up similar parameters or similar boundaries or guidelines, a similar structure to what we're doing with the daily live stream. Is we've agreed to be here every day, and then you're going to be phasing out a little bit as we get other co-hosts in, but for the time being, you're here every day until we get all the co-hosts lined up.
Yep.
And then and we're showing up and we're doing it, right? But we weren't before, right? You and I weren't doing this prior to January 1st.
True.
And so I'd like to let the other piece is to celebrate your wins, because you are showing up consistently in a very organized and reliable way. At least for this show, you are. Right? Like,
yep.
That's awesome. So do more of that, right?
Yeah, thanks. Yep.
Work parties are also another way of doing the same thing, where you're showing up to do that difficult work that you might not want otherwise. I right before we went live, Eric, I had a really what seemed like a profound thought, even though it's very straightforward.
Okay.
Almost everybody wants to get their business up to $10,000 a month as their first thing. That's their first major milestone. Their first major goal is to get up to $10,000 per month. And because that seems like enough money that most people, unless they're in some sort of high-powered C-level corporate job, most people can quit their job if they're making 10 grand a month profit from their business, right?
Right.
And because it's a convenient number, most people think that 10 grand a month in sales is actually going to pay them 10 grand a month, which is bogus. It doesn't, not even close. So that's a reality check that people have to go through. But I realize your original question was what makes the difference, between the successful entrepreneurs and the people who flounder.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, $10,000 a month is 100 people paying you $100 a month. Just let that set in for a minute. 100 people paying you $100 a month. And so if you started some sort of a community, a membership site, a software as a service, a newsletter subscription, and charged $100 a month for it, $99 a month for it, if you gave it everything you had, how many hours a week, that you're willing to put into it, everything you had, how long would it take you really to sell 100 people into your membership program to get it up to that $10,000 a month? Now, look, there's going to be churn. People are going to drop off. There's going to be work to do after that to keep it up there and to grow it. But how long? Could you sell one person a day over the course of 100 days? One would hope.
I mean, probably.
One would hope that you would improve at it. And so it's like such a simple number.
It really is. Yeah, when you think about it that way.
If you decide that you're going to get your business up to 10 grand a month and you're going to do a recurring revenue model and you're just going to find a way of selling that first 100 people in there, do that until you do it. Right? And so setting that goal of I'm going to accomplish it no matter how long it takes, and then putting the time in and get there as quickly as you can. But 100 people at $100 a month is 10 grand a month, guys. That's all we're talking about. 100 individuals. And so don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. It's entirely within the realm of reason. So
yeah,
with that said, I mean, that my recommendation is set a goal, go for it. We have a couple more comments I want to throw up here. Elena says, we are creative people and organization is a skill we can all learn. I fully agree. You can also hire people, often cheap, that are organized. Organization is not the highest paid skill, but it's very valuable, right? On that note, my first hire was I hired a house cleaner to do my chores, cleaning the apartment that I was sharing with 3 women when I started my business online, because I didn't want to do my chores because I was a slacker around that stuff. And that's a way of hiring someone to help you be more organized. Hire a housekeeper or the equivalent in your business, right? Mm-hmm. Liz says, doing it my way or a more creative way is always a preference for me. It does create resistance, as Tellman has told me. Yeah, I mean, me too, Liz. You're not alone. I always want to do things my way too, but it usually doesn't work out. At least not until I learn the ins and outs of how to do it in a more proven way. Learn the rules first so you can break them later, right? Master the rules now so you can break them later. Oh, pardon me. Guess I still have this cold a little bit. Yeah. So, Eric, how does all that feel to you? How does it apply to you?
Right. I mean, well, there's a lot of elements to it. I guess what first comes up is having that, what you mentioned about having that strong commitment, that unwavering commitment to what you're creating in life. And I mean, I do have that, so that's something I can feel good about. And yeah, and then also, how that, when you have that commitment, giving up is not an option. And I watched that play out over and over and over again in my life, getting to a point where most people would give up, and I just keep going. And I learned from my mistakes. I learned from things I've done that have been totally ineffective, and dust myself off and keep going. So yeah, that's encouraging to hear. And having that connection with what I'm creating, that's something that I need to work on more, is my vision. I feel like I have a vision. I definitely have a vision of what I'm creating, but I feel like it's not as clear as what I'm moving away from. There's a very clear, I'm done with certain, I've been living off grid for a long time, and it's been a slow climb up to greater creature comforts. I mean, starting 20 years ago, I was living in a school bus in the forest on a little island in Canada and drinking water out of a hole I dug out of the ground,
Right.
and cutting wood for my handmade potbelly stove with a dull handsaw, no electricity, not even a flashlight, using homemade candles for light and that kind of thing.
Hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore. And now, I have a nice farm in Hawaii with a house with, power system and running water and a nice bathtub and ionized water, and like it's been it's a huge improvement, but there's still a lot of room for more improvement. And yeah, I really want to do it in greater style. So that's like what I'm moving away from, is like I don't want to live bare bones like feral in the woods anymore. And I know I want a higher standard of living, but what does that really look like and why?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's so many factors there.
yeah.
I mean, one is, I don't know. I mean, what immediately pops into my mind is like the idea of doing, this is totally different than what you're doing, but like is the idea of doing something like off-grid architecture workshops, where people, and maybe that's not the direction you want to go in, but like where people can like do a workshop at someone's ungodly beautiful home that's completely off-grid but super posh, that you can rent out for the weekend or whatever, and get 20 people to come in and spend, the weekend and $5,000 like designing their ultra home, or
fun,
or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm super into architecture.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned
would
that
be
the other
pretty
day.
cool. Yep.
I again, that like that's only if you're dedicated to helping people build their off-grid dream home.
Right.
If that's not what you're focused on, then that's not what you're focused on.
Yep.
But yeah, there really is a lot of factors there, dude. There's a lot involved. And you don't have to know exactly what your vision is to move forward. That's the thing, is don't use these things we're talking about today, you or anybody, don't use your lack of fear or your lack of vision or your lack of presence in the moment as an excuse not to work on moving forward.
Exactly.
Right? Like this is all a work in progress. And so, yeah, I mean, like I'm hoping Get Shit Done is going to be an 8-figure business, and right. Either blow sky high and then continue to make money for a very long time, maybe sell it in the future if it's amazing, and it would be a huge payout, but that's not necessary. I want it to be sellable, but I'm not building it to sell it. Like I want to build it so I could sell it, but I'm not building it to sell it. Right.
Gotcha. Yep.
And so, but it could not work out, and that'd be okay. And then we try something else. Yeah. Right. So that's really one of the biggest things that's the difference is,
okay.
Doing it for the sake of doing it because it's something you're inspired to do and something you want to create, instead of just like something you feel you have to do or you should do and you just freaking hate it.
Yeah, no, I feel that. It's definitely, that's something I feel really connected with, is this sense of like it's all a part of my growth and like the journey of it and what I'm learning, the person I'm becoming through the actions, regardless of if it hits or not.
Right.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. I want to ask you, have you had any progress with booking consistent sales calls from your Facebook group?
That's a good question. What I need to do and why that hasn't been more consistent is I kind of fell off of connecting there. Okay, so in the beginning there was 80 people that just came right into the Facebook group right on the onset. And then I was doing really good reaching out to each of them individually and starting conversations with them, finding out what's happening in their life, right, what their biggest struggles are, what they're trying to create. And I was getting some, not all of them. Some of them were just like, doing different things or not trying to create anything or just satisfied where they're at or whatnot. But there were a handful of people that were in really good alignment for what I'm creating. And now Okay, so then a lot of people came into the Facebook group. Now there's 300 people, and I think I got a little bit like, wow, that's a lot of people. But maybe just like, obviously not messaging 300 people all at once, but going through in bite-sized chunks and like making connections with these people and finding out where they're at and how I can best help them. That's what I need to do to keep that process going with the booking consistent sales calls.
Yeah, dude. So
from my group.
Check this out. How many sales calls do you want a day?
I mean, I probably wouldn't want more than 3.
Yeah. You said like 15 a week would be the most you could handle, right?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds reasonable. Maybe I could handle more after getting used to that.
Let's
but
just say 3 for argument's sake.
Right.
Great.
Yep.
So how long do sales calls take you?
30 to 60 minutes.
Call it 60.
Yep.
Great. So step 1, you block out the 3 time blocks on your calendar that you're going to use for sales calls.
Right. Oh, you mentioned this before. I'm going to do that. Yeah.
And this is true for everybody. Okay. Step 1, block out your sales call time blocks on your calendar. Just set them aside either in Calendly or on Google Calendar or however you're going to do it. But like do it in Calendly. Set 3, like from noon to 3 Texas time.
Yep.
Central time or something like that, right? Maybe you need to break them up in different ways, but set the time aside. Make that your only time blocks available for people to book with you.
Yep.
Then, if you're not doing a sales call, what do you think you're doing?
Activities that are going to get my sales calls booked for those time slots.
Yeah, now you got 3 hours set aside a day to message people, dude.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it. Right.
Because
I'm glad you reminded me of that. I need to do that.
And I'm reminding myself because I'm doing the same thing.
Okay.
Like get shit done's growing. I'm not messaging everybody every day.
All right.
Like I should be, right? So you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and as the business grows, there are higher leverage activities than messaging people individually every day. You can automate it. There's all sorts of other things you can do. But right now, if you're trying to get sales calls, get in there, message everybody, build a relationship with people. If you want that Facebook group to be active, message everybody. But message everybody in a way that's going to lead to a sales call. One thing you want to ask them is, why'd you join this group? Like, that's a really easy way. Hey, really great to have you here. What inspired you to join the group?
Right. I mean, that's one of the main questions that I've been asking people that I have been messaging. Yeah.
Right. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Yep.
Let's see how I can help you. Right. So I would encourage you, if you spent an hour a day messaging the people in that group, if you did that for a week, your calendar is going to be booked.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
Unless you just do a shitty job of messaging people, there are a bunch of people that want to join your thing right now, but you haven't asked them, you haven't engaged with them.
That's true.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
That's the name of the game. So rock and roll. All right. Well, guys, this has been a great episode. Saturday, January 25th, the Get Shit Done show. Eric, thank you so much. Great having you here as always. And guys, if you haven't joined getshitdone.com, then join getshitdone.com, our productivity cult for entrepreneurs. My name is Tellman Knutson. This is Eric Oliver. You know what time it is?
It's time to get shit done.
It is time to get shit done. I'm going to go to the grocery store.
All right,
guys, rock and roll. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. I think Curtis is going to be joining us.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.